Labels do not care about talent anymore. It's about your popularity. So the music industry has changed drastically because of that.
If Drizzy say get that, I'ma get that. I got the kind of money make a broke bitch bitter. I got the kind of wait, fixate. Which bitch you know made $1 million off a mixtape? I'm not saying that I'm a barb. I'm just saying that I could recite a couple Nicki verses. What's going on with you today? How you doing? I want to talk a little bit about this clip that I posted on my Twitter the other day, right? The clip is from Nicki Minaj herself, and it went a little, I don't want to say that the clip went viral, but it caught a lot of traction over on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter if you don't follow me already. But I posted this clip on Twitter from Nicki where she was talking about the music industry back in 2018. And I want to showcase this clip to you and have a little conversation about it. So the clip, like I said, is from 2018, and I believe Nicki was speaking at a panel. She was being interviewed by Elliott Wilson, and he was asking her some questions about the industry. But Nicki said some things about the music industry on this particular interview, and I thought it was so profound because she said everything the music industry is currently going through right now, and she summed it up in like 50 seconds. The clip is like 5 years old, right? And it's so relevant to what the music industry is going through right now. So again, I just wanted to, showcase this clip to you, and I want to have a little conversation about it. So let's take a look at this clip together. Let's do like a little reaction, type of thing together. Let's take a look at it, and then after that, we'll talk about it. All right, so here's the clip.
Labels do not care about talent anymore. It's about your popularity. So the music industry has changed drastically because of that. So when I was growing up, I would put on the radio and hear talented people. When you guys put on the radio now, you hear popular people, right? And that's the difference. So you gotta hold on and treasure the ones that are still here, not because of popularity alone. And I would be silly to say that I'm not here because of, popularity partially, right? Because my fans are such a powerful force. Like, they'll get something trending. I got Queen Radio now, and like we had, oh my God, that's so dope. But at the same time, I never have ever relied on that just by itself. I never relied.
That reminds me to think when people first saw you.
Labels do not
Talk your shit, Nicki. Labels do not care about talent. Everything is about popularity. 5 years. She said this 5 years ago. 5 years. Now, that was relevant back then, but it's even more relevant now. Such a profound clip. The words that she said are so relevant to what the industry is going through right now. Everything we're seeing in the industry right now, how things are set up, what's being promoted, the archetype of artists, but specifically rappers getting signed on a regular, I just can't emphasize how important what Nicki said is. Before we continue the conversation, let's talk a little bit about this clip in itself. So, like I said, it's from 2018, and anyone who remembers that particular year as it relates to Nicki Minaj, she was going through that hate train, which a lot of it was, brought up on herself. I mean, I had a lot of things to say about Nicki back then, right? Check out some of these videos, right? I made a lot of negative videos about Nicki back then, and I still stand by what I said. I still stand by my statements. I'm not gonna back down from that, but that was a different era of Nicki Minaj, and I want to say that was like the most unlikable era of Nicki Minaj. Now, Nicki had the whole industry against her back then, and I remember seeing this clip floating around, and it very much applied in 2018. I mean, that's when Cardi B really started to rise in the industry, and she's a prime example of labels not caring about talent, because Cardi B has always been fueled by her popularity and not by her talent. Nobody's gonna be able to convince me otherwise on that. If it wasn't for the music industry backing her up so much, she would have never been in a position to compete with Nicki Minaj, which she really isn't. I feel weird saying that, but what I'm saying is they opened the door for Cardi B and started pushing her on everybody's face so Nicki Minaj could lose the monopoly that she had. And it worked. Although I think comparing Cardi B to Nicki Minaj is blasphemy. I don't think they're even in the same universe. In a lot of ways, by most people, by a lot of people, Cardi B is viewed as Nicki's competition. Obviously, those people put more value on one's popularity rather than one's talent. Cause ain't no way should Cardi B actually like seriously be compared to Nicki Minaj, like an MC like Nicki. It don't go together. Like that's not something that should really happen. But the clip in question was relevant back then and obviously is relevant now. And Nicki Minaj did get a lot of hate for her statements. Like I said, the hate train was in full effect, so I don't think her words got the proper attention due to the fact that, the hate she was facing clouded the message. Recently, we've been talking a lot about the music industry and the current state of it. And, I have a lot of things to say about the current state of the music industry. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm ever going to run out of things to say about the music industry, especially the things that are going on right now. There's so many things to talk about. There are so many aspects to break down and analyze and dissect. In the words of Nicki Minaj, labels do not care about talent anymore. It's about your popularity. A statement that's so relevant right now. And the question is, how come this is a thing? I mean, why is this so acceptable? Like, why is this the industry standard? How come labels put so much stock in an artist's popularity instead of their talent? The simple answer to that is because talent doesn't necessarily sell. Because you could have an artist who's ultra talented, who makes amazing music and has the potential to become a superstar. The thing about that artist though is, unless they're coming into the game with a little bit of skin in the game, i.e. tangible, results like an accumulation of streams or clout, these major labels, they're not gonna give that artist a chance. Ain't no way they're not gonna do it. They're just not gonna do it. Because the record labels, they're looking for proof of concept. Like, they look at an artist and they say, does the model of this artist that we're looking at right now, does this model work in the marketplace? Can they produce some type of revenue for us if we invest our funds into them? And is there going to be a return on that investment? Since it's called the music business, this shit is strictly business. And so the people who get the attention of the industry and end up being put on this platform and position to win and elevate themselves further, most times aren't actually the most talented people. They, however, are the most popular out of the bunch and most likely have a lot of connections. You can have the entire package, like I'm saying, the entire package. But if you got less than a certain amount of monthly listeners, you will not get into those rooms. You will not be called to no meetings because you are not valuable to them. The upside is you don't need them to validate you. You don't need them to cultivate a fan base. You don't need their cosign to build an everlasting career with lifelong fans who are going to put money in your pocket until the day you die. You do, however, need them if you want to shoot for the stars and have your face plastered in as many places as possible and be seen. It's going to be really hard for you as a self-sufficient entity to do what a major label does. It's just not possible. You can't do it. Even the rappers who claim that they're independent way after they've blown up, are either number one, straight up lying, which most times that's actually the case, or they're independent on paper but not on a physical level. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that just because you're independent on the record doesn't mean that you're actually independent, because if you're not moving like an independent rapper and you got prior access to this immense network, the kind of network your average independent rapper doesn't have access to, then, we can't really call you independent. And if you're not living it, you's a fake ass nigga. You's a fraud. You're not independent. Stop lying. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. So the industry and labels, they prioritize clout, okay? It don't matter what you're doing or saying on the microphone. If you got an accumulation of streams, they want you. And you know what the thing is? The majority of signed acts now, especially the ones who, signed back in 2020 and after 2020, the majority of them got there because they managed to bubble to the surface and they got the attention of the industry. And then they got offered a deal. And then they signed. And most of those artists, they got there extremely fast. I mean, 2020, like that was the year of the pandy, right? But that was also the year of, the rise of TikTok. And TikTok completely changed the game for the worse, if you ask me. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of talented artists who got their shot and succeeded as well. Ultimately, I'm not here to say that I'm not happy for someone's success because, I don't deem them as talented. All I'm saying is your talent isn't worth a damn thing if you don't have anything to show for it. Like Nicki Minaj stated, when she was coming up, things were very different. That was literally during the LimeWire era, and damn, I feel like an old man. But there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, and popping off on the internet as an artist was unheard of until you, Soulja Boy, tell him. Everything we're seeing now didn't exist back then, and the thing I liked about the industry back then is at least things were more organic and more real, and talent was prioritized because that's what worked. Now that doesn't work, and in return, artist development has suffered. That's why we have a bunch of artists, from this era who have zero stage presence and they just don't know how to put together a performance. I mean, the art of performing is just completely lost now. Like, it's just completely lost. Like, especially in hip hop, most of these rappers, man, like it's sad. Like, I've gone to a lot of concerts, a lot of rap shows, a lot of rap concerts, and I'll be honest with you, it's a sad sight. Like, that's why when I think about the rappers who I will pay money to see, it's a very small percent. Like, it's such a small percentage, because what I've seen time after time is there's no effort being put into performing now. And unfortunately, most rappers don't even have the skill to perform. Here's the thing, like, what do you do when you get a hot record off TikTok and you get signed literally, the next month after that? That was only your third record in, and a lot of artists are just not prepared for what comes with it. So in a lot of ways, I can't blame them. You get what I'm saying? It's just that the game is different now, and you gotta adapt fast, and you gotta know exactly what you're gonna do when that moment eventually comes, because it's gonna come. Like, that moment always comes for any artist who's persistent and determined to make it. That moment is gonna come where the industry comes knocking on your door, like, hey, what's up? We got this deal for you. This is what you've been working for. So now what are you gonna do? Are you gonna sign? I say stay patient. Be patient. Don't rush. Why the rush? You got your whole life ahead of you to entertain deals. The thing that happens to a lot of artists and a lot of rappers is they just jump into it, and then before you know it, they're in it, and they weren't prepared for what comes with it. So make sure you're prepared is what I'm saying. As for this Nicki clip, I just think it's kind of crazy that she said this like 5 years ago. 5 years ago, that's a long time, back in 2018. And a lot of people had a lot of things to say when she said this. They called her bitter. That's what they said. They said that Nicki was bitter for this because she was going through the hate train, so she wasn't doing that well, right? I mean, she's Nicki Minaj. She was doing well, but the perception was that she wasn't doing so well. So she came out and she said this. She made these observations about the music industry, and a lot of people pushed back on what she said, and they weren't really ready to listen to what she said. And I just think it's kind of funny because, like, looking back on it now, Nicki was right back then, and she's right today. Labels don't care about talent. They don't care about talent. Your popularity, however, that's what matters. Anyway, any thoughts on this clip from Nicki? Curious to hear what you have to say. My name is BlackySpeakz, by the way. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining me today. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, okay? If you like this content, subscribe. You're gonna get more of this, okay? Also, drop a like for your boy. If you enjoy this content, drop a little like boom, just a little like, okay? I appreciate you. Thank you guys for joining me today. I want you to have a blessed day, and catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
I gotta push through these walls, I'ma break down till my time is up. I wanna be great now.